Hi, welcome to Chad's Silversmithing. First, thanks for coming to my channel. I really appreciate you visiting. If you wouldn't mind, before you leave, hitting the like button, that helps out my channel a great deal. Thank you in advance for that. I also love it when people leave comments, so if you want to leave a comment or a suggestion, those things are great. Really appreciate that. Today, I think I'm going to do, I've been doing some old styles of jewelry lately. I did some Art Deco earrings last weekend, I think it was, and today I'm going to do a little bit of Art Nouveau, which is kind of swirly and sort of organic-y looking style. And so I'm going to make a pendant. I'm going to use a Blue Topaz for the stone up top, and then it's going to have a dangling pear-shaped or teardrop-shaped stone of Larimar at the bottom. It's kind of got a swirly pattern to it. I like it, and I think I based it off of some other Art Nouveau jewelry I've seen online, and I think it'll turn out to be pretty. We'll see. I'm going to do a 6-prong setting for the faceted Blue Topaz, so this is probably going to be a little bit more of an advanced project. But before we get started, I need to thank some people. I wanted to thank my YouTube subscribers. I think we're about to pass 6,500 today, so that's great. Thank you guys for that. I appreciate all of your support, both comment-wise, watching-wise, and financial contributions you guys have made. I'd also like to thank my patrons over on Patreon. Ginny M is my newest patron. I wanted to welcome her and thank her for signing up. And thank you to all of my patrons over there. You guys are my bread and butter, and I really appreciate all of your support. Very nice group of people. If you're interested, you should check out the video description to see how to sign up for that. So let's get started on this project. So let me show you the stones I picked first. Here's the one that's going to hang down below the pendant. That's Larimar. Then we got this Blue Topaz. It's about a 7mm Blue Topaz. Let's see if I can get that a little closer. You can see it's a nice sparkly one. I like Blue Topaz. This is a Swiss Blue Topaz, meaning it's kind of the lighter color. Interestingly, most Blue Topaz on the market has been treated. They heat treat it to change its color, and then to make the color fast, they irradiate it. So most Blue Topaz that they pull out of the ground tends to fade in the sunlight over time. So, oh, this is my design idea book, which is available on my merch store. Ever since I started drawing things up beforehand, I started to have quite a bit better outcome for me. And I really like the little square marks on here. It's got a little matrix that helps me to keep things symmetrical. So, all right. So that's going to go right there. That's going to go right there, hanging loosely in a bezel. I pre-made the bezel just to save a little time, because I'm going to focus more on making the 6-prong setting here. This is going to be, I think, a piece of 12-gauge round wire that I'm going to flatten out a little bit up here to flare it, and probably file it a little narrower and then flare it back down here a little bit. I probably will use 14-gauge round for the back piece there. The prongs on this are probably going to be 16. I'm going to use a piece of 14-gauge square for the little base of the setting for this stone here, for the pavilion to sit in. So this is an 8.5 by 11 roughly, and this is about a 7, I think. So maybe it's more of an 8. It's a little bit smaller, I think. So I inherited this bunch of chain from somebody when I bought their tools a long time ago, and it's like a triple interlocking kind of link chain. I don't use link chains very often because they get tangled so easy. But for this one, I wanted to have a link chain up here like this, so I'm going to go ahead and put jump rings and a closure on it and split it in the middle. I cut about a 20-inch piece of this stuff. So it's pretty tarnished, so I threw it in some jewelry cleaner just to see if it would clean it up. And this piece I did too, and it looked like it did a pretty good job. So we'll see how it turns out. All right, so I think let's start with the prong setting for this, and we'll go with that. I need to make a circle out of 14-gauge square wire that's just about the same size as this. So let's see if we can do that. I think I'm going to use some bail making pliers to get it pretty close. I'm guessing if I do it around this size right here, it's going to be pretty close. The thing about square wire though is when you bend it, because it's trying to stretch that outer edge and compress the inner edge, it has a tendency to try and twist on you. So you have to kind of control that when you're bending it. And I do that by going back and forth, top to bottom, like flipping it over, when I'm just doing a little circle like this. Actually did not too bad. It didn't get too wonky on me, so let's cut that off and see how it goes. I think I'm close to the size, but we can always cut it a little shorter if we need to. Go ahead and file that edge a little bit. That's still a little bit big, so I'm going to take a little piece out. It's okay if it's a tiny bit big, because I'm going to build some prongs coming off the outer edge of this. At least that's my plan. So let's see if we can get it just a little closer. I think that's fine because I'm going to inset those prongs just a little bit into the edge there. So let's solder this closed. If you haven't watched my videos before, I use hard silver sheet solder and a spray-on flux called My-T-Flux. It's kind of looks like antifreeze. It's not antifreeze, but one of the things you'll see me do in my videos too is pick soldering. So if you're interested, I'll put a video up there about pick soldering. It's one of those skills that I found that pushed me to a new level when I really got good at it, because it allows you to place your solder pretty carefully in very specific spots. So once you get the thing hot like this, just go down here, get it to flow on there, and you got your solder where you want it to be. So really handy when you have a place that's hard to balance a piece of solder. But it gives me so much more precision as far as placing bits of solder that I use it all the time anymore. So, alright, let's put this on here. Got to be a little cautious doing what I'm doing here, because if you squeeze too hard, you're going to put a big dimple on the outside of it, because these have a tendency to leave little dimples, these round nose pliers. A little bit of polar graph paper here. Try and get the angles right, because I want 6 prongs on here. Okay, I'm going to use a little polar graph paper here. This stuff is handy sometimes. You need to get perfect angles or pretty close to perfect angles. I think let's do this. Let's color it purple. That way I should be able to see my scratches pretty easily. If we start at 0 here, every 60 degrees, I believe, right? 360 divided by 6 is 60, yes? So 30, 60, so right here. So 30, 60 right there. Right there. Okay, so what I'm going to do on this, I'm going to take a round diamond burr, and I'm going to grind kind of a half circle shape that's tapered outwards a little bit along the outside edge where I made each of these marks, so that I can solder in an upright prong, about 16 gauge wire I hope I have some 16. If not, I'll have to make some. But yeah, we'll do that. So I'll be right back. Welcome to my messy area over here. You can see right here, this is one of those, it's kind of a cylindrical diamond burr. And in order, this is going to get pretty hot when I do it, so I'm going to try and hold it. I could use a pair of gloves, but I'm really going to just hold it like this. And then I'm going to grind it like this. It's kind of like a flower now. So, see how that looks. I did find a little piece of 16 gauge round. I hope I have enough here. I got 6 prongs, so if I cut them pretty short, I should be alright. They need to poke down into this softer block. This is called a magnesia block in order to hold them upright. So let's cut them off. I don't need that much to stick up above, though, just a little bit. Just barely. So if I mess up, I'm going to have to make some more 16 gauge wire because I don't think I have any more. Alright, so I'm going to just push these down in. Let's try this. See if I can find a little flatter spot. Do it on the side of it. Alright, let's see if we can get those ones soldered on. I have some solder on the pad already. So the bottom piece is kind of protected from the heat by being pushed in there. So I'm going to spend a lot of time focusing on that piece. Okay, still got plenty of solder, so let's flux that. The only disadvantage to these soft pads and magnesia blocks are that they're kind of crumbly, so they get everywhere. I want to make sure all of these are on there well. It's pretty good. Reasonably symmetrical. Probably not perfect, but good enough, I think. Alright. So that's going to be our little prong setting. Snip this off on the bottom. That's looking pretty good. One other thing I want to do is, this is straight up and down on the inside hole here, so I want this to be tapered inwards like this a bit. And I think I'll probably have to do that with the Dremel mostly. So I'm not going to make you watch me do that, but I'm just going to use one of those diamond burrs to kind of carve that into a slope so that the stone just kind of plops down in there. So I'll be right back. Okay, you can see I just kind of sloped it down here. I didn't do like a super fine job, but enough to get it to sit down in there nicely. Drop that stone in there, kind of sits down. I probably could have made the ring just a tiny bit smaller, but I think I can make it work still. So like I said, I already pre-made this. I still need to put a loop on it. We can do that if you want. The next piece I'm going to make, I think, is this piece here. So I need to figure out about how long that is, and I think I'm going to use a piece of scrap wire laying around if I got a long enough piece. Like I said, I have this 12 gauge round. Okay, so I think I'm going to find the center point at the top here so I can make these first curves. The reason I'm going to do this kind of piecemeal is I'm going to do this first set of curves up here. I want this to be wider at the top here, corners, so it kind of gradually flares out and then comes back narrower again. So I'll probably file down these ends to where they taper down a little bit, and then we'll see how it looks from there. So, but first we need to find the center point. That's pretty close. Okay, so these need to go about so I'm marking it right where this starts to really bend, right about there. And since I measured this one this way, I'll just do the same thing this way. So we need a relatively tight corner there. So I've got to use this. That small section there. So I can bend it around that. Well, that's starting to look pretty good, about like that. Let's see if we can just kind of flatten those ends a bit. See if I can do it without hitting my finger too many times. Okay, so in order to file these ones narrower, I'm going to have to spread this open this way a little bit so I can get at them. And then once I thin them out a little bit, mostly from about, gradually tapering down here, getting thinner, and then thickening up just a little bit at the end again. But I'll probably also flatten that end a bit. So let's, I'm going to start doing some filing, and I'm not going to make you watch me file this whole thing because it's going to take a bit. I'm just going to work my way all the way around that thing. So I've been doing a little filing, a little dremeling, a little just general shaping, using pliers and stuff. Try and kind of get it to the overall look that I'm trying to achieve here. And I started to curve them a little bit in order to kind of get that lined up right. So I think I'm just going to kind of continue that. It's quite a bit of filing to get them just narrow like this. It's starting to get how I want it to be. I think I'm going to snip these off so they're straight up and down to each other. And then file them a little bit. See if I can get them lined up nice. I think something that might help me to get this to stop moving around and get these guys lined up symmetrically is if I solder the center point together right here. So I think I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to pick a little solder there. I think I was going to drill little holes through these corners up here, but I think I may solder on a little jump ring. So it needs to be about that long at least, plus a little extra. So call that 50 millimeters-ish. Let's call it 55 just to give us some room. So 55, and another 55. I want this to kind of come to a point at the center. So I'm going to file a little notch on it after I find the center. Okay, I'm just going to file a little bit of a notch where that line is in the center with the corner of my file here, so I get kind of a little I get sort of a point, more of a point right there. So before I do anything else now, I'm going to solder that closed at that angle like that. Cool that off. Okay, so we need to kind of make a curve. Sometimes you get a nice curve if you grab further down the wire and use leverage. Kind of get a natural curve. See if I can spread that out just a little bit. Kind of like that. This thing, of course, will be a little bit smaller than that once I'm done with it. Tempted to just solder that on once I have it centered like that. As far as getting these lined up, I'm trying to get this along the center line, this so it looks like each of these cavities look about the same, not too much disparity between these guys. So I soldered it here and here, and then I'm going to take a look at it. Alright, I've got a slight tilt on the back of this, so if I raise these up here, make it a little easier to get that soldered in there nicely. And get it to solder just like that, that would be peachy. Let's see if we did it or not. Okay, so at the bottom here, I'm just going to snip that off right where it meets. So I need to put a ring on here. I don't want it to be super big. So I'm going to use, I think, maybe some 20 gauge. Okay, just a few things left to do. I went ahead and I soldered a little partial jump ring onto the end of this this little bezel for the Larimar, and I'm then going to cut loose one side like that. That way it'll be easy to slip it over the loop that I'm going to solder onto this thing at the bottom and resolder it closed so it's attached. The other thing I'm going to do is put a couple of rings. I was going to drill this little holes here and then attach rings to the chain, but I think I'm going to attach rings to the chain and have rings here so it connects that way. So I have a couple of these here, and I'm going to sweat a little bit of solder onto the end, just little tiny pieces here, not very big. So let's get, oh, I need one more ring, don't I? I need one to put on here too. I was going to use 20 gauge, but I changed my mind and decided on 18, which is just a little bit thicker. Get up there. That flux gets sticky and sometimes it can stick to your pick like that. Try and put this first one on just by holding it in place. I can get this piece hot enough here. I pushed it into the magnesia block so I don't inadvertently drop anything off of it. Nobody wants that to happen. That's pretty good. Now if I can keep in position like that while I push this back into the pad. Leave that be. Let's see if the front soldered too. Back side did just fine. one last thing before we pickle this. Let's hook on that other loop. Alright, so now we should be able to just hook this over this. Solder it back together. And then get pickling. This is one of those situations where the good thing is I just want that little jump ring to solder closed. So I don't need to heat the entire piece. This is one of the few times you don't with silver. Soldered closed, still got a movement. Okay, I'm going to pickle this and we'll finish it and hook a chain onto it. Okay, so a few things I've done. I went ahead and set the Larimar, and I narrowed the prongs right at the base there, so they'll bend over a little bit easier right at the base. And usually I just start by bending them in just a little bit across from each other. That. Same thing here. Just leave it like that. Nah, let's cut it down a little bit. I'm not going to cut it down to its final length yet, but I want to be able to push these down further without bumping into each other. So I'm going to narrow and shape these prongs a little bit before I'm done, and I'll cut them off right in the middle of the girdle facets. Just kind of right about there. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that up. I cleaned up one of these chains. I split it. So I'll be hooking that onto here after I get this all cleaned up. And then I'll do a little final cleanup with the Dremel. Looks like I need to neaten up the top of my bezel here. And then I think we're done. So I will do that, and I'll take some better pictures at the end, but basically this is kind of what we got. One thing that's different is this is a little bit, this is at the top up here instead of down at the bottom here, so that's a little bit different, but I still like it. I think it's good. So well, I'll get that cleaned up, take some pictures, and we'll hook this onto it, and we'll call it a night. So. Alright, well, that's the little Art Nouveau pendant with the Blue Topaz and the Larimar. If you like this, make sure to hit the like button before you leave. That helps my channel get promoted and helps it to grow and help me to make money. So thanks for doing that in advance. Also, check out some of my other videos. I have 230 some videos now, all different levels. So if you're a beginner, you can find some stuff. If you're more advanced, there's lots of videos showing you some ideas for projects and things like that, as well as some techniques you may not know. So check those out. Give it a subscribe if you would. I'd love to have you subscribe. And don't forget to visit the video description down below. There's all sorts of relevant links. There's my merch store where you can get one of those nice notebooks if you want, or a coffee mug with my face on it. There's my website where you could buy jewelry, and there's a link to my Patreon, as well as a link if you just want to give me a tip by buying me a coffee. Those things are all great and help me out a lot. So thank you for watching my video. Take care. Happy silversmithing.